From Forex Traders Daily, this is your daily analysis with Ross Mullins, live from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for February 15th, 2016. I hope you had a great weekend and are ready to get started trading this week. In today's video, I'm going to do a general overview of each of the U.S. currency pairs in anticipation of this week's trading. First off, taking a look at the news calendar for the day today, it's important to note that we do have a bank holiday in the U.S. today, so during the trading session, during the U.S. trading session, we might see light trading. Coming up at 9 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, we do have some news out of Europe. The ECB President Draghi speaking. That could definitely affect the pairs that are affected by that news. And then, of course, at 4:45 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, later in the day, today we have some news out of New Zealand with retail sales, and some news later today out of Australia as well with monetary policy meeting minutes. So definitely some things to keep an eye on the calendar for the day today. But again, probably most important to note here during the U.S. session is that we have the bank holiday in the U.S. Let's get started taking a look at some of these currency pairs. Starting on the USD CHF, the US dollar versus the Swiss franc, we're looking at the daily time frame. Of course, a couple of different things to think about over the past several months, actually. We see the previous uptrend, the blue trend line on the left-hand side of the chart. That's important to note because we've seen some retracements of that previous uptrend come down into some significant Fibonacci levels down here around the mid 9600s. We see the 786 fib of that previous blue trend line sitting down there, and that's where the market came to a complete stop and now has turned around for a couple of days. We see the previous downtrend along the red trend line. What's important to note there is that we saw supports on the way back up within the rising channel. We see support at the orange zone, support at the blue zone here and here where the green circle is, and just after that. So those supports will help us identify future resistance. So those are important to note as the market starts to retrace and go back up along this previous downtrend, this most recent downtrend that we've seen here. Pretty strong fall without any real significant hesitation or support levels challenged in that area. So we can't really find support here. We have to go back over inside this rising channel to find our levels of support to help us identify resistance. Then we again take Fibonacci from the high down to the low. What's interesting there is that we start to see some overlap of Fibonacci, the orange and the blue shaded area from the previous uptrend, the current downtrend, finding some overlap of Fibonacci in those same areas. 100 period simple moving average setting just above this blue shaded area as well. Inside that blue shaded area is, of course, also the 9900 level, and historically, again, where the green circle is, the blue shaded area, and back here on the left, we've seen historical congestion around that 9900 level. So all in all, I would definitely expect today and maybe some point this week we look for some resistance here close to 9900, the blue shaded area. We're just underneath that. We're 50, 60 pips away from reaching into that blue shaded area. So definitely watching for some continued rise today, maybe just a drift into that blue shaded area and looking for resistance as it touches there. The risk, of course, is that it continues to go higher, breaks above the blue zone, and continues into the 1.0, the parity level, sitting up here closer to this pink shaded area. Orange zone is your current support. That's right around and just above the 9800 level. You can see some historical support in that area. So if you're looking to go long in the direction of our current momentum that we're seeing, we're looking for it probably closer to 9800. If you're looking to go short, you're looking closer to 9900. So right in the middle doesn't carry a very good low risk, high reward scenario. You want it to go up to the blue zone or down to the orange zone, sitting on top of it for a period of time before you look for low risk and high reward. 4-hour time, or the 4-hour chart, you can see just above the orange zone right now. So I think what we need to see, if you're looking to go long, it needs to sit on top of this orange zone for a period of time, creating a barrier of support, and then you look to go long towards the blue zone. If you're looking to go short, let it reach the blue zone before you do that. Looking over to the EUR-USD, we see a significant fall, just the opposite of what we're seeing over there on the US franc. We see the fall, the blue trend line on the left, the rise, the black trend line, the falling channel. But I think here we can see some more significant areas of support resistance back here from the left-hand side of the chart. The yellow zone today, right around the 1.1200 is your current area of support sitting there right now. Beyond that, we're looking back down towards 1.1100. Resistance all the way back up here towards 13 and 1400, the orange and the green shaded areas. Important to note here, and we looked at this last week, is that we're challenging and coming off of historical resistance highs. 1 year we've been stuck in this red box in this range up here towards the 13 and 1400 level. Don't forget about this. We looked at that quite a bit last week. Take it down to the 4-hour time frame. You can see came off the green zone. We're under the yellow orange zone. We're challenging the yellow zone. This yellow zone will be significant for the day today. Take a look. Resistance, support, support. We need a significant breakdown of 112 and this yellow shaded area if we're going to see a continuation lower. If it can't get through there, we might even see some support here and a bounce back towards this orange shaded area. Let's pay attention to what the ECB president has to say at 9 a.m. Eastern U.S. today. Definitely watching for how the market handles that on the euro dollar. Moving over to the GBP USD. I think there's some very interesting levels here that we need to pay attention to. Most importantly, the black box that you see down here at the bottom right-hand corner of the chart. It's been a long-term downtrend, a short uptrend along this red trend line. What's most important is that black box. Let's zoom into the 4-hour time frame, and you can see why that's important. Resistance into the orange zone at the top. We've seen support at the blue zone. If you're looking to go long on the pound dollar, where does it make the most sense to go long? Well, it makes the most sense at the lowest low, the blue shaded area. We did that last week, made significant profit back to the orange shaded area. If you're looking to go short, you want to be as close as possible to the orange zone. That's what the market has presented to us over the past couple of weeks. So waiting for the fall down towards the 144 level, that's the blue shaded area, or rise back towards the 115.20 or sorry, 145 15, 145.20 level, bottom of the orange zone. We look forward to go back down here, so to the blue zone. So if you're looking to trade the pound dollar, it makes the most sense, just looking at it here, that you wait for the dip to the 144 level or rise just above the 145 level before you look for a new lower risk, high reward opportunity on the GBP USD. Moving on to the US CAD, we can see that this pair over a long period of time has been in an uptrend. Most recently, we've seen the downtrend here for this currency pair. So, again, I think there's a possibility that we could be looking for opportunities over time in both directions. Take it out here to the weekly time frame. You can really get a good sense of that long-term uptrend. We're coming close or reaching down towards this blue trend line that's been the most recent uptrend. Now that you've seen that wide angle view from the weekly back down to the daily, there's the blue trend line, 100 period moving average sitting down there, by the way, towards the blue trend line as well. So some downside still could be seen, but definitely watching for signs, evidence, and clues to reversal. Rising lows, rising highs, that gives us that sign. We don't have that really yet, but definitely something to watch here on the daily time frame. Zooming in to the 4-hour time frame, you can see really over the past several days we've been kind of stuck in a range between the green and the orange shaded area. We need some significant news, something significant, maybe watching oil for a real good clue what's going to happen. If we start to see another fall in oil, we could see this turn around and go back up. Another rise, another significant rise in oil, we look for this to turn around and go back down. So right now, 138 or so. 138 is the bottom of the orange shaded area. If it can get through there, then maybe we look for another challenge of the lows in the pink shaded area. Staying above the 138 level today, another possible rise and rally back towards the green zone as your resistance. A significant open and close above the green zone. We look for it to go higher. Of course, on the way back down, the pink zone is your support. Anything underneath the pink zone, you look for the continuation of the downtrend. If you're looking to sell, don't sell it now. It's sitting into support. It needs to go back up to the green zone or break through 138 to go for a sell or short here towards the low 137s. If you're looking to buy this, you're probably at a pretty decent opportunity for the day with fairly low risk and high potential reward, looking for a green zone or higher for the US CAD. Moving on to the US yen, significant downtrend here. Of course, risk aversion here means that this currency pair has taken a significant tumble. We've heard rumors, of course, recently about intervention by the Bank of Japan. I think that will likely look more significant than just these couple of candles that we've seen over the past few hours, or a couple of days, I should say. I think it'll look much more significant than that if we do see an intervention by the Bank of Japan. But we have seen a significant fall and a pretty decent rise from the 112 level back now into the 114 level. Yellow shaded area is pretty significant. Again, if we're looking for a change in direction, we typically look for higher highs and higher lows, and I don't think we can really classify that here on the daily time frame. 4-hour time frame, we begin to get a sense of what's been happening, just kind of drifting. It hasn't really been a significant rise, just kind of drifting up towards this yellow shaded area. Yellow zone 114, 114.10, top of the yellow zone is your resistance for the day today. definitely would watch this. Anything back underneath 113.40 or so, the bottom of that yellow zone, look for it to go lower. I wouldn't be surprised to see us bounce around inside this yellow zone between 113.40, 114 for a couple of days before we really see some significant movement out of the US yen. Next, moving over to the AUD/USD, Australian versus the US dollar. One thing to take note of here, we've been studying the longer term trend. If we even take it out here to the weekly, we can see a long-term downtrend. We've been studying this triangle pattern over the past several months. The rise, fall, breakout, and continuation lower, new low being made. We've seen the rise back to the bottom side of that triangle and the downward facing black trend line that we see here, and we're challenging that again today. So I definitely would watch for opportunities to go short here on the Australian dollar. Watching for clues to break out and reversal, though. If it gets above the triangle, gets above the black trend line, I think we're likely looking for a new high to be made here for the Australian dollar. But for the time being, I still tend to focus on going short here for the Australian dollar. 4-hour time frame, you can see pretty decent rise going over the past several hours. The previous uptrend, downtrend, and now we're back into significant Fibonacci levels again for this currency pair. The orange shaded area will be significant, I think, today, and maybe even early parts of the week. Orange shaded area is 7170 to 7190. As long as it's underneath there, we have some Fibonacci. 786 of the previous range sits inside there. As long as it's underneath 7170.90, I think we're looking for resistance. If you're looking for breakout and continuation higher, I think it will need to get above there, above that orange zone, 7200 even. Then we look for it to challenge all the way back up here once again towards the mid 7200s, the yellow shaded area that you see resistance at, close to 7250, 7270 is the yellow zone. Staying underneath here, the blue zone becomes your first support. That's 7130 to 7115, that blue zone right there. Let's zoom it in a little bit here on the daily or the 4-hour time frame. There it is again. Resistance orange zone. Probably don't want to buy it there. Support blue zone. If you're looking to buy it, that becomes your first opportunity. If you're looking for anything, going short at the orange shaded area today could be an opportunity. Keep in mind some news out of Australia later today with monetary policy meeting minutes for Australia. New Zealand dollar is, of course, as well. We do also have some NZD news later today. Retail sales, 4:45 p.m. Eastern this evening, U.S. time. But definitely watching this. Again, we've been studying the longer-term trend here, the red trend line. The rise against that trend line over the past several weeks, we've seen it come back up into that trend line. Daily time frame, again, we've been in congestion in this blue box right here. Again, I think it's a tough place to go long today. We're sitting into resistance just underneath the 66, 65, 90 level, the orange shaded area. Let's zoom it in again here. Look at that blue box on the right-hand side. We can see the congestion in there. Double tap of the highs here is 67.40 or so into the pink shaded area. Fell back down. We're in a tough decision point. I definitely don't think you want to go long right now. The orange shaded area is a tough resistance and definitely not the place to go long. If you're going to go long, it either needs to break above the orange shaded area or dip back down to the yellow zone. That's clearly the best places to go long and buy this currency pair. I think, if anything, today, underneath 66, 65, 70, this becomes an opportunity to go short. Once again, looking for the fall back down to the yellow zone. Anything under the yellow zone, we look for it to go lower. That's underneath, we'll call it 6,600. Getting underneath 66, the 100 period moving average, the yellow zone, we look for it to go down. Above the orange zone, 66.90, potentially, of course, taking a turn back up towards the third challenge of 67.40. That would be the third time coming back up here to the orange zone. If it does that, I think a break above that, we look for it to go higher. So definitely some areas to consider. Pink is your ultimate high here within the range, the blue box that we're seeing. Orange is kind of the hinge point, but today's resistance. Yellow is your support. Take it on down to the 4-hour time frame again. You can see how significant the orange zone has been historically. Resistance, congestion, and here we are again today. I probably would expect if you take a short-term fib from the current resistance high down to the current low, you're likely to find some overlap of fib right there into the orange zone. For the day today, with the U.S. bank holiday, later today we have some news out of New Zealand. I would suspect we're looking at resistance here for the first part of the U.S. session. The possibility of falling back down to the yellow zone is pretty good, and a break above the orange zone would be the risk, targeting back to the pink zone for the New Zealand dollar today.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.